Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today, I just want to talk about immigration, just in general. Is it an issue? It's something that's just coming up. There's a crisis at the border, and just trying to get into it. So let's go. First, I think I want to start this off in a slightly different perspective and just reveal that it's actually history. There's nothing new going on in America now that hasn't been going on forever, especially in regards to immigrants. And I think that we can all agree it's like, America traditionally has been like, the land of immigrants, but yet every said group that has come here has been harshly discriminated against when they came here. Every single one. Even a lot of, white people, like, Greeks and Italians and Spanish people and, even Eastern Europeans, like people that weren't, kind of Northwestern European people were initially discriminated against when they got here. And of course, the more melanated your skin was, the worse you got it. And that has been historic in America, and that continues today. Um, but what I think we need to really think about immigration is like, if you've always had a population here that's been anti-immigration, always, and it's really been the conservative folks, because it's been a narrative like, these people are coming, they're taking stuff from us. That this notion that like, we got to preserve what we have, but these people are taking things from us. But where does that really come from? Because even if you look at the conservative movement, the notion that immigrants or other people are coming to take things from us is more of like a very low middle class poor mentality. And I'm not saying that be shady, but like the wealthy class, they want immigration. And why? Because they run businesses. And every single business in America since its beginning is reliant upon cheap labor. Every single one, from slavery to indentured servitude to sharecroppers to child labor. And now today we know it's documented and it's been throughout history that women, black people, Latin people all make less than a white man for doing the exact same job. We know that. That's baked into the cake. Um, so each time a group kind of achieves rights, they need another source of cheap labor. They need another group of people that are desperate, that have been frozen out, that will basically have no alternative to work. Like I said before, it was like, slaves where they actually stole people. And, they actually was a movement in the country by poor whites that like were angry at the slaves having the exact same arguments. They're taking our jobs, like and angry at the slaves, but not at the slave masters that were literally kidnapping people and enslaving them. Right. And then you had people post slavery that were, sharecroppers that had no other way. The law wouldn't allow them to own businesses or really work. So, really, they had to still work on these farms. And yet they were still made to be the enemies. Right. And then you had immigrants coming here legally that were really poor and desperate. So laborers would discriminate against them and say, hey, I know we're paying, this person from London $10, but we're going to pay you one. And no one else is going to hire you, so do it. So that is the number one reason. If you ask immigrants why they come here, it's work. Work. And people hire them. And it exists until today. The illegal immigration situation where you have people coming, over a third of certain sectors, and I think you know what they are: hospitality, in terms of like maid services, dishwashers, agriculture. Like illegal labor makes up like a third of that workforce. A third. Imagine what these companies would do in terms of profitability if that left. If they had to start paying those people 5 times more. Why you think businesses are against living wages and minimum wages and unions and all those things? It's predicated on the cheap labor. So I guarantee you that this immigration crisis would end tomorrow if businesses were held to account to make sure that they were fined and making sure they're paying the right share of taxes. Then it wouldn't be a problem, right? But the only way that they could be taking stuff from us is if businesses allow it, because we know legally that illegal migrants can't get any benefits. They can't get Social Security. They can't qualify for healthcare. They can't do those things. I personally know I worked in an organization serving people experiencing homelessness, and that was a big plight about undocumented immigrants and how we could allow them in the shelter. They needed IDs to even get basic things like shelter. So this whole notion that they're taking things is just a fallacy, and the people that are giving them the things to take are the wealthy elite folks that have always depended on this. So it's not the situation that they're saying. And additionally, I think like the whole crisis at the border is, we think that everyone that is coming are just illegal, they haven't been touched, they've been sneaking across the border and things of that nature. That's not the case. Over 80 to 85% of all immigrants are actually processed in some way. We as a United States government actually see them at some point. Only about 15% of those are the classic ones that we think of, that like they sneak in and no one has seen them, no one knows where they are, and that's definitely an issue. But it's not all these numbers are taking into consideration all the people, which is encompassing the 85% of folks that are actually touched by the United States. Now, the issue, if you actually talk to the people on the ground, is a matter of processing. So let's say someone crosses the border. Sometimes their court date won't be for 4 years. And of course, in the midst of that, these people don't have IDs. They don't have like real access to jobs or whatever like that. Like, it's going to be really hard for them to keep that court date. What the people on the ground said, they need more border agents. They need more temporary housing. They need more judges. They need more social workers. They need more processing. Shutting down the actual border itself would probably be the least effective. And it would destroy our economy like overnight. And we don't need to think about this in theory. It actually has happened in several states. Look up what happened in Alabama about 10 to 15 years ago when they tried to do this and freeze, undocumented labor out of their agricultural market. It crashed in 2 weeks. They couldn't find people to work. It quit. They had to raise wages by 5 times and still couldn't find people to work. And then they had to reverse themselves. So we know what's going on. So there is something that needs to happen in terms of massive immigration reform. And in conclusion, the only people that can really make immigration policy is Congress. We all try to sit there and think, oh, the president can do it. No, we actually can't. The president can pose a policy, but unless Congress agrees to it, it won't happen. And that's both houses. That's what's happening right now. So you literally have the president saying he wants to work on it and have a compromise deal. You have a bipartisan effort going on in the Senate right now saying they want a bipartisan deal. But the House of Representatives, that's controlled by the conservative MAGA Republicans, is saying no. They're saying, unless you do exactly what we want, we don't want a bipartisan deal. You do what we say, or we're going to shut down the government. We're not going to raise the debt ceiling. Government will cease to exist unless you do what we want, which actually is against what most Americans want. And it's against even what some people in their party want. So literally, and you actually have people in the party saying we don't want a deal because a deal would make Biden look good. We don't want to resolve this crisis that we're saying because the crisis is better, because we want people to be angry about this. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, to me, it's like that you're using people as pawns, and it's admitted. Like, there are literally Republican congressmen that can be quoted. You can go research it yourself. Let's Google it. So it's like you literally have people that are acting to not solve problems because they want us to suffer enough so that they can bully their way into having policies that they want and make us, if you're worried about inflation, right? You're worried about a recession and interest rates. What do you think shutting the government down is going to do? And it's like they want that suffering because their whole mantra is the government doesn't work. But if like you're putting people in office that are like ensuring it doesn't work, then what's going on? So, I hope this continues the conversation. This crisis, we definitely need to do something about it. But in order to have an active solution, we have to blame the right people. We have to see what the cause of this issue truly is and then have the right solution. And shutting down the border and putting the faith and credit of the United States and shutting down the government in limbo is certainly not the solution I think anybody wants. So until next time, hopefully it was helpful.